Well, and I also learned I can stand there and flex my muscles for an hour, but if I don't pull my dick out, I'm not getting $100 in a ride to the airport. So that's exactly the experience I've had in comedy a lot of times. Uh,
Set up an
oh man. Yeah. Right there. That'll work.
That'll be fine.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Everybody tuned in.
Oh,
We're at the 25-minute mark, so
Cool.
good. Not bad.
Not an
bad,
issue.
not
No issues here yet. None
on
to
the
be
bright
had.
side, we're about halfway done.
hmm I had an immediate issue this morning when I'm like, all right, well, we're starting early and 10 o'clock. We normally record this at noon. We're going to do it at 10 o'clock today. And I'm like, well, I still have to make a Bloody Mary. So I half asleep. I'm starting to mix my Bloody Mary. I learned from Mitchell how you gotta use vodka. It's ice, then vodka, then bloody mix, then the Worcestershire and all, whatever other shit you're putting in there. Then into the fucking shaker, right? And then you shake it real good, and then you pour it back in. So I pour it into the shaker, and I made a classic rookie mistake.
This is the shaker that has the metal shaker on the bottom that you pour into,
Yeah.
and then you put
Yeah.
the pint glass back on top.
Yeah, well, I just had the actual shaker lid, which has,
All
like
right.
a little thing, and you can either, if you take the lid off, you can pour you can strain it out,
Got
or you
it.
can take the whole thing off and pour the whole thing out.
I've
But
stolen
what
those from Chili's. I know those ones.
yeah, what I did was I was shaking it, but I didn't have my thumb on the actual tiny little lid part on the top. I was shaking it like a shake weight. So like on about the fourth time back, the fucking lid popped off and fucking Bloody Mary hit me fucking in the eyes, in the face, down my shirt. It's a fucking
Funny shot.
disaster. Yeah,
Yeah,
it was, dude. It was brutal.
I think
I-
you should have wore that shirt through the whole podcast.
It was my favorite shirt. I had to fucking immediately put it into a cold water soak.
Actually, to teach you a lesson, you should have to wear it for the rest of the day.
Fucking bullshit.
if you were me, you would just expect that almost all the time. That's I got before I went into the massage parlor in Silver City. I went and I got a sandwich and a Coke, and then I had some other shit I was juggling. And my bone dropped first, and I kicked that so it had a softer landing. And then the Coke bottle dropped and broke, and the sandwich tipped over and fell into the glass. So the whole thing was fucking shot, like in Bill Murray in Stripes when he dropped the pizza upside down, But
Hey, what
Yeah.
what massage parlor serves sandwiches and Cokes?
yeah, I haven't told you guys about the massage parlor in Silver City yet.
Wait, isn't that just the story?
No. No, I was pissed off about the sandwich thing, and I'm like, fuck it, I'll go back and get another one. I'm just like, I go around this corner, and then there's a massage place, and I was like, after that long drive through Texas, I could have used it. I was thinking a legitimate massage was the only thing I was thinking. But said, you doing massages here? And she said, yeah, and $30 for a half hour. Oh, great. I'll be right back. And I went and got another sandwich, and this one made it into the room, into the fridge and everything. and then I went back I took $40 over there. Thought if it was a really good massage, I'd give her a $10 tip. And she did a really shitty massage. Like she identified knots in my back and then moved on. And then she kind of
There's one.
yeah, then I'll just say, she pressed her muff against my head for part of the shoulder massage. I thought maybe she had, balance issues, but I started to think the way she squirted out the lotion, it made that, it just sounded like, oh, and then I started thinking this massage isn't working. And she's already flipped me over after about 10 minutes of massage, and then works her, does a pretty good half-ass thigh massage, and then gives me the the rolling dice or whatever hand job sign. And at this point, I know I'm not getting any relief on my back at all. You know, it's over. The massage, I'm ripped off. That 30's gone. That, you know, so I was like, you know, and I figured this would just kind of insult, you know, it'd be a low ball bid enough that it wouldn't happen. So she goes, you know, I said, all I got is $10, and she goes, all right, and then squirt. And, I did learn a new trick though, kind of the like an eyeball plunge release. But yeah, so
What?
What?
Hold on.
That's like you were opening a ketchup bottle.
Yeah, I never really, you know, but
Share the knowledge.
that was the best part of her whole presentation was the closer. The
opposite of yours.
She had a decent opener, and then she just kind of, you know, muddied around the middle there, and nobody really knew what was going on. And then recommended she close on a hand job for $10. Is like you know, I mean, I got ripped off on the massage, but the hand job was reasonably priced.
I think that does sound like Andy, because it sounds to me like she closed early.
Yeah. At the end of it, I was like, I still got 10 minutes of massage coming, right?
But it's unlike Andy because she closed strong.
Right. Well, let's just say she had a real obvious close.
Dude, she gave you a happy middle.
Yeah. Yeah. And then I drove back by there, and she was gone later. She took off. Like, you know, that was
her $10, dude.
I just wanted to make sure she was, you know, free to come and go on her own.
The massage lady was on lunch. This was the secretary just making a little bit of money.
Yeah. So yeah, you know, yeah, I was really pissed about it, kind of annoyed about it, because my back's really, that was what I was hoping. Maybe you know, sometimes you get a happy ending you don't expect. And and then I was like, man, I had my head facing that fucking thing. I bet you don't clean those at all. Taking a bunch of vitamin C tablets and shit.
Wait, her muff? Is that what you're talking about?
No, I had my face in the massage hole, where you just kind of put your face in a downward looking, you know, so you can't see your money falling. And I don't want to give it up. I stayed at a place called the Drifter, and I went to a place that was called Massage, and then I had breakfast at a place that said breakfast. They keep it simple in them small towns in New Mexico.
Was it a town called On the Nose?
Welcome to literal New Mexico.
Yeah. Silver City, you know, don't be surprised.
Yeah. He was in the truth half of Truth or Consequences.
Yeah. Yeah, to kind of ruin my whole thing, because I was gonna go up towards the state park at dusk and jack off, and then it's like, man, I don't even feel like that. My nuts are sore. She did some overindulgent nut rub. It was like, I didn't want to complain, but it wasn't the most comfortable situation.
She found another couple of knots.
What are you doing? What are you doing? Shaking dice? I don't know about that, but yeah. Again, yeah, a lot like some people we know in their act. Yeah, I think she excelled in the hand art, and they never really, you know, gave her the whole massage chart. She just uses that as a bait and switch, which I think isn't it best? Well, I'd have to talk to the elites like Robert Kraft. They go, is it better to have a sex hostage, or do you find it better to have a woman who's free? Because I think the sex hostage would do better on the back knots.
She better,
if she wants to eat.
Yeah.
Her whole business plan just said guys are fucking stupid. I don't know how to give massages. Want me to rub your dick?
Yeah. I would think the elites would demand a little bit of back service before they went.
I love that Andy somehow feels like he didn't have any say in any of this. I mean, you did offer her. She gave the throwing dice sign.
I did not run. I didn't say yes or no. I just said all I have is $10, and she said okay, and went to the squirt lotion.
I mean, did you think the extra 10 was to get the knots?
I also I like to fall into, like when I ate that LSD that in where was that in Minnesota? I thought it was weed. Some of the best bucket list items are ones you fall into.
That was in Duluth, Minnesota, and a guy gave us. We were at a place called the Dublin, and it was a back room at an Irish bar that they don't turn the music down or nothing in the front room. It's a fucking Irish bar. And some guy, while we were walking over there, or was it after the gig, Andy?
No, you had
someone gave us
some
gummy.
Stranger presented it in a tin foil.
And Andy just fucking popped it in his mouth, and just to see like what it would do. And he thought,
no, I totally thought it was weed. You said it was like,
thought it was weed.
You opened it up, and I go, oh, I'll take that, and I ate it thinking it was weed. And then you go, don't you want to know how many milligrams it was? And I was like, I'm not good at math, but I thought it was weed. I could handle it.
Turns out it was LSD.
Yeah. They don't wrap weed gummies in tinfoil, bro.
I'm not from the Midwest. That's good information going forward. But that night in Duluth,
And do you remember how much it was? Remember the guy?
No, what?
I ran into the guy later, and I thought I told you. He said how much it was. I can't remember what it was. But when I told you at the time, you said, well, I guess we'll figure out if I can handle it or something.
Well, and then I was like,
it's a massive amount.
As it got close to me being introduced, or however that went down, I kept thinking and saying probably, I don't think that was weed at all. I'm not sure that's weed. And then I said, I don't know what happened during the show, but then after the show, I was fascinated by the door guy who wasn't all that cool, but he looked like Skipper from Gilligan's Island. In fact, he kind of embodied Skipper because he was kind of a dick. And I guess
Alan Hale.
I guess
hitting you with his hat.
But I was tripping and going, man, Skipper's out here. So how bad could it be? But that's a town where the Gales of November song, right? Where that ship went down. So I was thinking I was tripping, and I was already in a ocean theme in my head. And then this guy looked like Skipper, and I was tripping, and then I was like, wow, Skipper needs to trim his nose hairs. And I was staring at his nose hairs, and he didn't like me at all. And then the merch table happened. And if you've ever been tripping on LSD and people want you to sign stuff or pose for pictures, it's also meaningless. Move on. But I don't know what it turned out with a Sharpie, but in my mind, I was making some sort of light saber emotion on their thing, like the Pope might to an ugly child. Too long. Square head.
That was it, because after that show, we were set up outside of the showroom, so it was just outside in the main bar area. So it's a weekend night. It's a busy Irish bar, a lot of music and loud noises, and then these people lining up to talk to you. I don't know how you handled it. I eventually asked you to leave. I know that.
I'm sure at some point I panicked and left. I mean. Well, then didn't I have trouble getting into establishment? You guys, I think I got tossed about town like I was Gilligan.
No, that was That was Madison.
Okay, I'm combining rum and acid again. The flashbacks are also familiar. But the wake up is much easier while on acid, I believe. But yeah, everybody in the crowd was sort of on the same LSD.
No, they weren't.
No? Okay. Okay, well, I'm sorry about vandalizing your posters. I just felt like consumerism at that time seemed ridiculous. Like, sure, I'll sign that, but you know how meaningless, and there's nothing that matters, and time's already Okay, here, I'll make a light scrawlings, and I didn't mean to fuck your shit up, so sorry. But really, be more careful out there, kids. But anyway, to get back to it, I felt like I bucket listed a happy ending. I'd never go ask for a happy ending or go, hey, open my wallet or run to the ATM. Really, her massage was so horrible. I would have had no high hopes going back with $40 for that. I know this in life. There aren't any happy endings, but there are impulses you can cover and you can move on. I went to a funeral. I didn't really go to it. I went to my hometown to pay respects, but it was a cop who let me go a few times, and I know his kid who's going to be at this taping. But anyway, I went to see Neil, and then and all the people were in, and I realized I don't want to see any of my old teachers. They're a bunch of fucking cunts, and that's the men. Mr. Mr. Beers in particular, that little fucking dwarf was there. But there was a cop car and the keys were in it, and everybody was in the funeral, and it was my hometown, and I knew the back roads and everything, and I'd parked about 6 blocks away so I could have a beer and smoke some weed before going into the pay my respects. And then I saw that cop car and the keys in it, and I was like, well, I got them other 2 Deweys, on my thing or whatever, and it's probably not the best time to joyride, but I was like, oh, fuck, and I paced around that car for about 15 minutes, and then people started coming out from the funeral, so I went around the back, paid my respects, and went home. So I still got a bucket list grand theft auto of a small town police car, but the hand job, the happy ending is done. I don't have to worry about it.
How was the sandwich?
Glassy.
Well, no, I kicked that one. Well, the birds ate it, and I got the glass up as best I could when I'm angry and freaking out over.
I thought you got another one. You said you went back.
I did. Well, the other one was okay, but I didn't regret after eating the other one, dropping the other one, the first one. It's like, yeah, I should have just let it go with the broken glass, and the birds seemed to like it better than I did.
Not to mention that sandwich now costs twice as much.
Well, let's just say the people in Silver City from everything I stopped at the hotel, all ends of it, you could do a little better, massage ladies front for a half-assed hand job with a great ending to it, but the sandwich guy puts no effort into it. The hotel's dirty, but I guess it gets you close to a national park, and that's what ruined the whole thing, because I don't mind putting up with that shit if I can get up into the wilderness early in the morning and then drive down the road fast, because I got those 2 things going for me. I can go jack off any place beautiful and in nature, and then drive fast on the edge of dangerous, and that's living the life.
Andy, it sounds like you're reading ad copy from the Convention Bureau. This sounds like a good ad. I mean, it's a shitty hotel, but it's cheap. You got a hand job, and there's nature nearby.
Well, and you can only kick yourself a little bit when you stay at a place called the Drifter. The Vagabond Inn would be another.
Yeah.
Welcome to the bed bug, sir.
Yeah. So you're saying you didn't get gold medal service in Silver City?
Yeah. I think that claim dried up. Oh, she also did the hot towel treatment on the balls afterwards, so I appreciated not having to
What are you complaining about?
So she had to close her, and then it was like, oh, that's over, and then she came back for an encore.
$10?
Yeah, first. I mean, that you only get that in first class. The hot towel, or a Mexican barber. Or as it turns out, a non-sex slave, masseuse. So not much going on in my world. I'm just getting ready for the taping out here in Bisbee. And thanks to everybody who pitched in to cover the cost of that shit, because I can't afford that and the high life I've been living.
Yeah. It seems like that we were all tricked by the amazing brain of James Inman, who managed to help fund the rest of your GoFundMe Indiegogo taping fund as a challenge to us.
I was gonna call you and say, make a pledge for 200 and I'll cover it, and then have in, because he said he would match anything.
Yeah.
See, now the bid's 200 and a handful of Oxycontin. What? Really? Okay, all in. Angry, remorseful. Come on. Okay, reset. Angry, remorseful. The stages of Inman. Oh yeah, I got.
So yeah, so you're taping tonight and tomorrow night?
No, not taping tonight. Right,
Well,
Friday.
Yeah.
So I
It
haven't
is
waited.
Friday, Andy.
I
don't tell him that; he'll get all confused.
Oh,
uh, yeah, you had me there because it ain't right. It's Thursday. I know I put the things off till the last minute, and I know when the last minute is, and it ain't Thursday.
well, here's
Well,
another question that I have that I was wondering earlier is I got a personal invite, as I know some other people here in town got personal invites because the venue is limited seating. But I've also gotten several messages from people on social media going, "Hey, Andy fucking invited me out to the fucking thing, so I'm gonna be there. I hope to see you." Did you let the venue know all of these people that you invited?
Sounds like sounds like a lot of people are staying at the Grifter Hotel here. I know. I gave Doug a rundown of who I invited, and if you talk to blackout drunk me, that's invalid. I don't even know what that fucking dude says. Or fuck that guy. That guy fucking loses shit and gets me all bruised up.
So we're oversold, is what you're saying.
Well, it's like it'll be like a Trump rally. There'll be more people outside, and then we'll be like, and then we'll have somebody.
Go ahead.
No, I was listening to Brett.
No, I was gonna say you said it'd be like a Trump rally. There'll be more people outside, and the person inside will be lying.
Probably about 85. I can carry about 80% truth. That's the problem.
That's a joke.
That's the problem with podcasting is I go about 90, and that's just too honest for most dealings.
Yeah.
But it's a podcast.
I was joking, dude. I've heard your act. It's truthful. I'm excited to hear what happens these next.
Well, even when I make up bullshit, I try to make it true eventually. If I ever did that I got a happy ending hand job bit, I made up for it because I didn't. That was blackout drunk me who covered a lot of my work in the early days.
All these stories will eventually be true.
Right, and it's mad. I get mad when I hear about that because I was diagnosed bipolar sort of, and it's like I was oversold. You don't serve a guy with mental illness that many drinks, and then I hear all this reputation. Well, that wasn't even me. That was a character I had no control of. So shame on them. I hope people get out there and spread the word about mental illness and give us some room. We're dangerous, but only if we need to be. So,
Andy, your taping is oversold. You at the bar were overserved.
It all goes into the same blender. Yeah. So yeah, I might. Yeah, I don't know how that's gonna play out, but I haven't given out laminates or anything. Without laminates, how can anybody be invited anywhere without laminates?
Wait, I thought Chris Castle said that he had to get laminates printed today.
These are all details that I don't. Yeah, that's up to him and Woo, his houseboy.
Is that the guy they were calling Dong?
No, Hop Sink. I don't know. Yeah,
Hop Sink. He put a 21st century spin on Hop Sink from Bonanza.
Yeah. I didn't know.
Hop Sink's cousin, Hop Sink.
He's an IT guy.
I've been fascinated with the Asian culture since Eddie's father. Did you watch Courtship of Eddie's Father? He had a Japanese lady, and she couldn't eat. Well, she chose not to eat as respect, so the lady would eat in the kitchen. And as the years go by, I think, wow, I wish I could instill that in my household now. I don't know. It just seems like a good policy, but it was a part of the culture. So I'm like, and then I watch Kung Fu, and it's like, why does he have to walk around if he's only half Asian? Why can't he put on shoes and get a horse? But I think I ran into him at the Drifter Hotel. He had a bedsheet wrapped around his neck. Oh no, that was his brother, right? No, David Carey.
Oh, that was Carey.
Yeah. 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 Not a bad way to go.
Fuck.
Bisbee's the only place I can find RC Cola. Bandon, Oregon, and Bisbee. So if you're listening and you know anyone who works at RC, you should tell them to find a few more places.
There's a vending machine outside of Farmington, Illinois, on the edge of Peoria that has RC Cola. A single vending machine sitting at a lonely gas station.
But since it's Peoria, it might be drywall, Andy. So you want to check.
me and my brother Jeff used to hustle this one store and shoplift, and then there's one of their gumball machines would not reset, so we just empty it, and so we started. I guess we call it shoplifting. But there weren't any cameras in the day, so it's just called, getting away with it. One of the things we ripped off was RC Colas because they had baseball in what the fuck, Major League Baseball as a sponsor or whatever, and I had a bunch of Pete Rose RC Colas with Pete Rose's head on it. I wish I would have. I can't. My brother ripped. Well, I was probably ripped shit off as his mule because he ended up with it. Ripped off all the baseball cards. He got all the black guys, and I got all the fucking common white dudes named Andy, or Bruce, or fucking guys who never were any value to them. But I did most of this, probably all the stealing. Damn it, that fucking dick. I don't blame him though. If I had a little brother, I'd totally do the same shit. Here we're gonna do this, and then bait and switch, or he does it and you don't, or maybe. But my brother Jeff never progressed as a con man because of it. Like he did say, he fucking scratched up one of his kids got fired from a mill, and then Jeff scratched up. Well, not Jeff, just an anonymous brother scratched his car, and then he got busted for it. And I go, wait, you didn't look for cameras first? Like, what a fucking nitwit, man! Like, don't you know anything? You wait outside of the lot and you follow him home, and then you can do whatever, but you don't fucking, you look. That's the one thing I've learned about being me is look around for cameras first.
I can't wait till your special is taping and you get up there and you look around, you see a bunch of cameras and you panic and run away.
Right. Yeah. I've had a love-hate relationship with cameras. When I got molested by my older friend Steve back in the day. We're not friends anymore, and we weren't really friends then. And he wasn't really named Steve. He called himself something different, but he put me on camera. So that was really my first, exposure to the business or whatever, or being on camera and working through, the set or whatever. Same with the hand job. Same with the happy ending lady. I only got, it was a different monetary compensation was different. I can't even figure out how it was even similar and different, but I got paid I was basically the masseuse, but I was just on camera talent. And at least then, I mean, I had other roles and I did drugs and stuff. So the blackout drunk me handled some of that too. That's his origin tale. That's where we found him in the shadows there.
That's where you learned the light scroll hand signature.
Yeah.
Well, and I also learned I can stand there and flex my muscles for an hour, but if I don't pull my dick out, I'm not getting $100 in a ride to the airport. So that's exactly the experience I've had in comedy a lot of times. Maybe not the pull the dick out, but the same awkwardness of, am I getting paid or not, man? Yeah, you can complain all you want, but a deal's a deal, man. And you're and if this rings true to you as a club owner, I had mental health issues, and your club served me alcohol, and I came in on drugs. So I was mix and matching back then because I had an undiagnosed medical problem.
So, but you're still mixing and matching, Andy. So what is it now?
I dropped the antidepressants.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, I was on those for a bit. That was the payoff for being diagnosed but I got to take a break from me for about long enough that it was like kind of changed. It's like I took down some of the ropes in the backyard. I had these ropes and I was like, I got hung up on, hung up on the idea of how to make it look more like an accident. So I'd get the saw out and like, the ladder and everything. And then, like I'd put a second rope up and then, well, it's just a loose wrap. And would that work? And, testing it with sandbags.
What did you think people were going to think you were hanging ropes in your backyard for?
Construction. He accidentally hung himself.
And here's
while
the
he was
payoff.
sawing logs.
And here's the problem.
That's fucking ridiculous.
I know, and then I let it go for so long that the ropes became like way up. So I was like, now it's really gonna look silly.
Hold on, the tree, your suicide alibi.
Eventually,
the
the first rope was so
out of reach.
Yeah, the second rope was put up there to make the first rope look like an accident. And then the first rope became so frayed that I replaced that with another rope. And then I had a real good climbing rope. And then I put things off like that. I just like, the mood didn't stay or smoked some weed and calmed down or whatever. And I can't write very much. So like writing a suicide note would be like, what tone do I even use? Or,
who is my audience?
Yeah. Who am I? Hey, cops, fuck off. You're not supposed to even look at that shit or whatever. Hey, if there's any cops reading this, you're a part of the problem. Them Deweys put a lot of mental pressure on me. And I had mental problems, and you fucking put me through those tests and put lights in my eyes. Fuck off, you put storm in front of it. You're stormtroopers. Torturing mentally ill people out on the street with. I had a head-on collision with a Freightliner truck. Let's do obstacles right on the side of the road while Freightliners go by. I'm sure PTSD from being sexually molested is fine with walking a white line with trucks going by, right? So I fail those tests, because I'm mentally ill. But
and drunk.
I'm not as drunk anymore. I've learned that white drugs make compensate for a lot of social awkwardness. As best as I can figure.
I got no argument there.
So far, anyway.
I got no argument there. I'm with you.
That's the only thing that I can't booze up like I used to. So booze has not been a good mix for my, yeah.
As of late,
you still got drugs.
I may be diabetic. Who knows? Maybe it's not the booze. Maybe it's the mixer. Well, Doc, I'm willing to try anything at this point. I'll even chew more of that kratom powder. You do that shit? It's horrible. It's like
I don't know what that is.
Well, when I was sober, it seemed like the only way I could get high, and it was like this green algae shit. And I tried to mix it with pudding, and it still stayed in its own corner. So I wolfed it down and fucking ate it, and it felt like heroin. It felt like heroin for a while. I got the housework done.
Wait, what do you think heroin does? Heroin doesn't help you do the housework.
It does if you do it in the first 15 minutes. Well, I think that's because I'm bipolar. I process it differently. When I was on Molly, I tried to get a plane hijacked and take off for Bolivia, and I thought it wouldn't be any kind of an issue with anybody. This ain't gonna get you fired, right? I didn't think Molly was that kind of drug, but now I know what to expect. Bucket listed that one too. See, I'm doing drugs so I don't have to.
I don't know, but I love it.
As soon as you get through them all, you can finally climb that tree.
Well, yeah, no, I went up there though recently to take down those branches because of fire danger now. These guys came by, and I thought they were Jehovah's Witnesses, so I was getting ready to yell at them or throw something down there and go, beat it, you fucking rummies, because they're not welcome there, at least when I'm home alone.
Maybe they were just your wife's ride.
Yeah, it's like inviting vampires in. But then I started to go, what do you need? And he goes, hey, we're here about fire danger. And I'm like, okay, all right, me too. I'll be right down. And it turns out, a lot of the neighbors, and me included, had branches that dipped down and were too close to the ground. And, hey, one spark, and I was with it. And I was the only one who showed up to grind branches at the free grind, too.
How disappointed were you when you found out they were against fire danger?
I'm pretty much. Look, I've done all the math on this, and I know I'll never do it, but I was distraught at the time, deep in my bipolar struggle. And I was home alone, and I thought, I'm gonna torch this place.
That's what I
Allegedly.
mean. Like the guys show up and they're like, "We're here for fire danger," and Andy's like, "I love both of those
Well,
things. I'll be right now."
Right. Well, yeah. So yeah, but the earlier me was like, fuck yeah, I'll make it look like I'm, because I had some stuff on my roof that was flammable. I was working on a project, unrelated, but I like to
On the
MacGyver.
roof?
Yeah, I had a cedar on my house, so I had some branches. I was up there cutting them down and stacking them there. Anyway, I thought I could burn this place down but I was going to get some briars that were down below and then burn those first and then have some briars and then start a secondary fire, the original fire on my roof, and then throw that up into the cedar. But they have a whole science that catches people that have that kind of thing going. So years later, I'm on their team and I'm totally with them. And I went up in that tree with the 4 ropes in it, had these big ass branches that hang down, and I climbed up there on the ladder. And this was like this is how it would have paid off, because them branches have gotten real dry. I'm worried about that cedar tree, but I got up there and just started sawing, and the tree blew off. The limb blew off after like 1-2 cuts, and then snapped off and almost hit me in the face and knocked me off the ladder. And I had a hold of that rope, so it could have worked. I needed time, and and it would have been totally organic at that point. Like I'd forgotten, but I started climbing those ropes eventually and got really good shoulder strong by climbing the ropes and not killing myself in them. It's not even killing yourself if you're just kind of sad. Killing yourself, you're all mad and you want to blame other people. I was going to take the soft Irish exit or whatever, the Irish goodbye.
Irish goodbye.
Yeah, and nobody in my house ever used the backyard much, and it was kind of a hidden corner, so I probably could have, kind of blended in back there eventually. I don't know what squirrels do to meat. I know the raccoons probably wouldn't have respected me as anything other than a food source.
The possums would have eaten you.
Yeah, and I do the same to them, come down to it when it comes down to it. But I won't have that tree to take the Irish exit. I'll have to find another cave to walk into. Not even metaphorically. There's a cave in Panama City, a mining cave. Me and my brother walked into, just being us, smoking weed. Neither of us had a light or anything or water. We ran out of water way before this. And then we just walked in there, and then it's like, I can't really breathe. Can you? We're still burning the joint. And then we look, and the lights on behind us. All right, well, we walked in north, we walk out south or whatever, and it worked out. But I thought, what a great place to just fade out. I need a bigger joint and less company, probably. I can still make it up there. It's like a 6-mile hike to get up to the town. That's why I didn't invite the Panama family to go up there. It's called Panama City. And it's still up there, and there's a cabin that has running water, and that's where I started nature jacking, because my brother was down over here, and I was there. The history of the place was it was a boom town, mining, and then they ran out of shit almost immediately. But there were whores coming up the hill daily, and people coming to get rich, and then people would just carve out a little place and then hold their gun on, like how I camp, but I don't have the gun. I have a smashing bat. Yeah. I'm a light sleeper, so I'm counting on that. Okay. Hey, don't kill me. Can you take me to a rope in a ladder situation? So it looks more like an accident.
Here, take this smashing bat and hit me real hard with it.
But I was standing there. My brother was way over on this other side of town, and it looked kind of like, it's a really cool town. It looks like Darwin, California, with the cabins and shit. And the town got washed out, but I just knew it was the whorehouse that I was standing in, and you can't help but feel the wind and the spirits up there of a boomtown, tragic boomtown whorehouse. And I could almost see my grandmother's broken face in the window there. I imagine her as an old can girl back in the day.
Oh.
That's what really soaked the alcoholism into my family. So I blame her for a lot of this. Her and Grandpa, they run amok, those two.
Well, you
They're
come
prob-
by it honestly. That's what my grandpa always tells me when I talk to him about how I want to murder people. He's like, "Yeah, you come by it honestly."
yeah.
He's a
And
fucking murderous old fucker too.
I knew the story of my grandpa killing himself, but I didn't really go, you didn't know the year and stuff. And then my dad found him. My grandpa, he was undiagnosed bipolar too, but he played jazz music. He played jazz music and had novelty orchestras and traveled the country playing music, covering tunes and shit. And then he killed himself at 50. I went to his grave site and I'm like, when I saw it, I was younger and I was like, because it was like it kind of bummed my dad out for a lot of years and kind of made him, it kind of bummed him out for his life or whatever to find his old man dead. And then he had to take over grandma, who was the fucking drunkest of the, anyway, that's another story, but grandma did hold her liquor like I do. But yeah, so we had to take care of her and had things that was kind of bummed out. So when I was standing on grandpa's grave, I was like, you're kind of a dick, man, doing what you did. And you're only 50. And now that I'm 50 something, 54, I don't do math well. Like I said, 65 to 54. And I'm like, I always sit on things too long. Like, grandpa, he had clear vision. He had a fun life. He rode the orchestra. And then when the orchestra stopped, he checked out. And I'm like, man, now I'd stand on his grave going, man, I'm really a fucker. I should have listened to what you were saying, man.
Did he try to make it look like an accident by hanging several ropes from the trees in his backyard? I feel like Andy's never watched Forensic Files.
No, I love that he thought it might be a good idea to set the house on fire that he was standing on the roof.
Well,
and then
worried
that they would figure out it was him.
Here's what happens. I always have these ideas, or I've had them quite a few times, and then I overthink it, or I think, oh wait, if I have the fish and all the cats and the dog and a lot of my wardrobe, and I don't know what else you grab in that situation that you can't overinflate in an insurance claim. But I wouldn't have wanted to leave any of the critters behind. So, I thought the fish, I was willing to part with the fish,
Well, it sounds like you also were willing to part with your wife.
She was not she was not in the house. She was going through chemotherapy, and I was kind of at rock bottom emotionally of dealing with somebody going through chemotherapy and my own self and my tendencies. Sometimes when you are, and she was having a brain disease, and she kind of didn't stop me from doing things. So I did a lot of stuff I don't regret, but I did terrorize some people, and I just hope it helped them, but I regret having to do that stuff. I do. I know it's, moral gray area or whatever, but right is right. Now, I don't know the laws and criminal matters, and that's up to a lawyer to sort out, but that's why you don't get caught and you don't do shit on camera and you don't leave any. I would watch the Forensic File. I watched Dateline that's how I put my kill kit together for a trip I was planning. I was like, yeah. And then, I'm going to need another gas can. I was thinking in my garage, first off, I was sleuthing my garage to see what I had already. You don't want to go put together a whole kill kit on camera, other places, disguises, and don't go on camera. Help out the local businesses when putting a kill kit together. And it's always good to use stuff because there's already DNA on it a lot of times.
Oh, good point.
So I do the mental math on all this shit, but I don't, and then I was like, the impulse cools. And then it's like, yeah, murders, that one was like, but
so let me get this straight, Andy. Yeah. You're saying you brought up a real good thought experiment here. If you get all of your kill items or arson items or whatever items to commit a crime from garage sales, you're right. There's probably blood on it too.
Well, that's why. Okay,
You
okay.
have
Here's
to
how.
steal it from the garage sale. Otherwise, they're just going to get everybody from the garage sales identifying you once they go to their house and go, "Did you kill?" No, I sold it to that asshole that lives 2 houses down.
Well, here's I have neighbors up the way that are litter bugs and possibly tweakers. I don't judge anymore. I had to at one point. In fact, that was where I first got the arson idea from. But anyway, I haven't done any. Ain't gonna. But they had items they just drop under their deck, like a lighter fluid canisters. It still had a little bit. So I bag it up with gloves and plastic bag up some of the cigarette butts and stuff and some bottles and stuff. And then was gonna, litter it around and then light the briar fire. And then I had clippings from that briars I was gonna put up. So I mean, I did a lot of leg work on it. I had,
Sounds good. Sounds solid.
and nobody was gonna get hurt that I hoped. That's that was, I mean, when you start a hill on fire, there are going to be some.
It's called collateral damage.
Collateral damage, yeah.
Yeah, that's all right. That's okay.
Yeah,
Well,
I couldn't
Andy,
get past
I think
that.
I think it's great that this play that you're writing, the screenplay that you're writing, you've done a lot of research.
Yeah.
You don't want anyone to get the wrong idea that you were planning.
I mean, I think everybody knows when you're podcasting, everybody just drops the word allegedly and not really me, just because it's given when you're talking on a podcast. Like I didn't even go to Silver City, for instance. I ain't never been through no New Mexico. No, I actually have a paper trail that puts me right square there at the Drifter. So
I don't know. I don't think you looked around for cameras while you were there, because I just looked on Pornhub for Silver City hand jobs, and it turns out that's where she's making it up. That's why she can give $10 hand jobs. She's getting paid per view.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I didn't look for hidden cameras.
Hey, Aunt, you're a star again.
Turns out you already did your special.
Yeah,
Some guy in Florida is jacking off to new material right now.
I don't know if you'd call it underground, but I've been a black market success from 1978 moving forward. Really, I know the kids of today will do the dirty without the, what do they call that? Not strippers, but the ladies who call it go-go dancing or whatever. Not that even. Burlesque. I was kind of a burlesque act in the 70s.
Burlesque boy.
In fact, I was a little risque with the mushroom peeking over, but it seemed like the only thing that would get the director to leave me the fuck alone and cut. Okay, we can go. Okay,
you just wanted to get back to the craft table.
Well, I would get the automobile moving, get my bags moving. I didn't like staying overnight there. Those were far worse. The evening over. It turns out you don't get jet lag and you don't need pills for jet lag. Especially on an hour flight. So that was anyway, but I would leave, get $100, and then we'd stop at a Adidas store, and I would get a silk sweatsuit, and then I would go back, and then and my friends would like, oh, where'd you get it? And then I would like, oh, I got a rich uncle or whatever. But I'd also he'd started. I don't know exactly the exact date what movie we saw when we started drinking together. But in court, I found out I was only drinking. He was doing dummy shots or whatever. So that's kind of a bummer too. I was like, I heard that in court. We couldn't talk or anything, but that was presented as like, Mr. Andrews said he had drinks after watching Apocalypse Now and was molested. Mr. Spleen doesn't drink. Like, oh man, I've been drinking alone since 70, whenever Apocalypse Now came out.
That's an even bigger betrayal than molesting you.
Right. Well, I mean, he ruined the Star Wars franchise after Empire Strikes Back. I got, a rough handy.
So did George Lucas.
Yeah, he wasn't alone.
Dun, 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 dun. Yeah, I didn't realize I was being indoctrinated into my own dark side at the time. I'm basically Harrison Ford, frozen in time, and it hurts.
I love that he wasn't averse to taking pictures of you and whatever transpired, but there's no way he would cross the line and drive drunk. he made a point to never drink and drive.
I learned how to drive his car with the hand control, so probably he may have had a trouble with alcoholism back in the day. I know he said he was going to be a monk, and then he got maybe too drunk to be a monk, and then he went free, and then he went freelance priest out in the world,
Freelance priest.
priest for hire.
Too drunk to be a monk, and then freelance priest fucking right after. God damn, Andy, I love you.
That's why I'm not worried about the written word no more. But it blends into what I already have thought out. So then it's like, yeah. I didn't get to pick him out. He picked my dad, and that's what's kind of a bummer. Like I was probably half a queer back then anyway. I've seen pictures, but I just had my grooming was so uncomfortable. I went and flipped hetero. Like there's no way. But yeah, it's like that's being gay. No, I know being gay is probably a lot better than what I went through. It was like being gay with a big fucking clumsy virgin with poor limb control.
Yeah. You went nerd gay.
Yeah, nerd gay, and I wasn't a smart kid. I liked some of ELO's music. We liked that together. We both enjoyed Sizzler meals. I would get the Malibu chicken, and he would have a iced tea. So
and
then we
listen to ELO.
But here's the thing: is why I don't know if it's a thing or whatever.
Sounds like a good date to me.
Yeah.
My family, we went through like a medley or whatever when they go a montage date. Like, we'd go, he didn't do a lot of the activities because he was crippled and he had them hand braces, but I would do driving the Malibu car. I had a license, I didn't even know you can do bumps off of those things for years. I would have sure would have hurt take the sting off of that after party in Apocalypse. I'll tell you. The horror. Horror. Yeah, I know what he was. I knew that. I had to go back and see it as an adult. And now I totally get what he was talking about in that scene. Yeah, the after party sucked. But yeah.
Oh, God
so he sleuthed my old man, and it kind of bummed me out. But then my family thought, oh, this is great. He's earning some money. He's out of the house.
He's working. He's out there working.
Yeah,
so staying out of trouble.
That kind of bumps me out about the folks. So, like if somebody says, who would you like to have a drink with? My dad wasn't much of a drinker, but I'd call him into the fucking hot seat. I talked to Steve. And now I'm talking to you. It's like, what the fuck, bro? You read the Bible. They had that man-on-man shit. What do you think? I'm that fun for, Mom used to tell me, don't be a show-off, but she never finishes her thoughts like me. So if she would have finished her thoughts, she would have said, don't show off because you're a queer looking little dude and it might give the wrong signals out. Pretty soon you'll have a gentleman suitor and we're oblivious to that sort of thing. So we'll take you to fly unattended and meet this guy at the airport. There was nothing more disappointing after the first visit than walking up that jetway to see Steve. I was not excited at all. He probably thought I was a shy kid. It wasn't shy. I was bummed the fuck out, man. Here I am again. I should have spoke up. I don't know how to speak up. I don't even know how to express what went on there last time, and then it just kept escalating. And then, I kind of relied on the school clothes at some point.
You got a lot of silk tracksuits.
It can really be tough if a kid shows up without the right clothes. He can be teased, and it can do damage.
So it became the new normal.
I got sexually molested and posed on camera for a dude who giggled a lot, and then went to the bathroom to tinkle sometimes, and. Yeah, so it wasn't the best molestation. If I would have had a George Clooney type episode, I would still be I'd be sucking off dicks and right and left, gentlemen, all nice smelling and everything.
I'm getting tracksuits for this.
Listen, George, I'm buying you a tracksuit next time. I'm guessing you're.
So it sounds like you had the Silver City of molestations.
Yeah. My whole life has been a hand job from Silver City and awkward sandwich drops on the ground. Here's what's improved is I take it in stride now. Like, sandwich. I kicked the phone and I saved it, and that phone is Jinx. That's the one I blackout drunk and fell and threw it while drunk on the ground in Baker City. I don't do well with things that are followed by city. When they're not, I get it if I'm in a city, but if I'm in Baker City, that ain't a city. It's full of, it's ranchers and such.
If they have to tell you it's a city, it's not.
Yeah,
it's not.
You know, and if you're a gateway to anything but better drugs, and you shouldn't even mention it, you know. There's a state park up through this way, but we're just a town you can gas up in, you know. We got nothing to do with that up the road. We're the side business. We're the massage parlor to your Drifter Inn.
I love that you say that now you take it in stride, but I've known you for damn near 20 years and you take it in stumble.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's the thing, you know. Stumbling is just gaining momentum for your next step. And I've learned to embrace that as opposed to getting mad about it, because I do it all the time. I'm like somebody with cerebral palsy or something. You just got to embrace the change or whatever. I'm not degenerative. I'm just, you know, like the last 2 times I pulled over, I just put my hands on the dash and talk, you know. This is cool. I will mention, if I have to get out of the car, I am a medium bracelet and I'm easily triggered by authority figures.
Sir, yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
All
yes,
right,
sir.
Andy, you've got a taping to rehearse for. Shaylee's got to get to work setting that up for you. So I think this is good. I think we'll call it.
All right. Yeah, we did over.
We made it. What else do we have to plug? There's no Stanhope shows to plug. You're back home.
No, actually, we got get online. We've just released. Well, there's still the Hawaii date and the Vegas date, and then there's 2020 dates that are going to be posted this week.
Oh, nice.
We've got. If you're on the mailing list, you already know about them, but Hennigan will send me the links this week, and we'll get more of them out there. So get it, DougStanhope.com, and check out the tour dates. And, of course, you can always get on Patreon and help support the Doug Stanhope podcast. And, Chad, we're going to record with you this weekend. Yes?
Yeah, definitely. You say when. I'll be over, man. I missed you guys.
Yep. You too, man.
Right on.
And not the money that was raised. Not the money that was raised that way, but I'm going to blow this little guy up on Saturday morning after some machine gun and shrapnel or whatever. So, you know, your money isn't getting pissed away by any means. Thank you.
I'm sure of it.
I don't want to walk alone. I got Jesus with me for at least till Saturday morning.
When there was only one set of footprints in the sand, that's when Andy Anders, was carrying you, blow up Jesus.
That's when I only saw one set of footsteps. That's when I opened fire, knowing there's nobody with him. Oh shit! You didn't walk in here alone, did you, Jesus? Lift up your robe. What's that over there?
The second set of footsteps was me walking back down range after dropping off the Jesus.
You ain't gonna need that cross. You that's pretty hopeful thinking to think you're gonna get hung on a cross, Jesus.
Look up Tannerite, Jesus. Look it up.
Yeah.
It's 2019, bitch.
Enjoy the moment, Jesus, because you never know when your dad's gonna turn on you.
Oh, I love doing this. Also, if you're out there, get yourself a Twitch subscription and subscribe to Chad Shank's Twitch channel. Watch him play video games with Joby and who else? Joby and who else?
Like a bunch of people that have been on the podcast and around Bisbee. Castle Rock Kenny, Stalker Deb. We got a whole fucking variety pack of fucking misfits.
Fuck yeah, do it. I'll be roast battling at the Comedy Store on Tuesday night. You can see that on the Comedy Store's Facebook page or Roast Battles Periscope. I'm battling the current Los Angeles champion, Alex DeWong, for the belt. I have to go write jokes about Asian people right now.
Hey, and if we wanted to tune into that, where would we see that, Erickson?
That's what I just said. You will see it on Roast Battles Periscope, Comedy Store's Facebook page.
Yeah, that's the one.
But also Roast Battles Periscope.
Okay.
Is
I didn't know about that one.
Basically, we just rip off the Roast Battles Periscope page and broadcast it. So it's the same thing. So whichever one you have is, whatever.
Great.
So that's it. And Andy left, but he wasn't supposed to leave because we're going to do something at the end of this. So thanks everyone. My Bloody Mary's gone. Listen, rate, subscribe. Our numbers keep improving, and we love you for that. We're glad you're here for us. We're here for you as long as you're here for us. Thanks. We'll see you next week.
Later.